Good afternoon, sports fans. This is George with Custom Tied Flies and Guide Service. We're going to be tying a custom tied bead head pheasant tail 60-degree jig. This is something that I dreamed up. The hook is Wholesale Fly Company number 27, and I'm doing them in size 12 to 16, but any big gap, short shank, 60-degree jig hook will do it. Thread is Danville Flymaster 70 denier in hot orange. The tail is 5 pheasant cocktail barbs. So that's the fronds that are on the quill is called a barb. So the body is 5 pheasant cocktail barbs off of the center tail feather. The rib is UTC Copper Wire in an extra small. The thorax is 3 Herls. I take them straight off a Peacock eye. A buddy of mine had a Peacock that went down and I loaded up. The collar is Hareline natural henback. The bead is Nature Spirit brown, metallic brown slotted tungsten bead in 3.3 millimeter or 1/8 of an inch. So I've mounted the bead on the hook already. Get it in the vise. It's get tied in. Run your thread down to the top of the bend. Get your 5 pheasant tail barbs. And you want them to be about a shank length off the back. So I measure them, and then I lay them on the back using a pinch wrap to get them, make sure they're in place. And I run my thread forward. And the wire for this particular size is 2.5 inches of the UTC extra small. In copper. Get that tied in at the front, and I just kind of pull it down to the side closest to me. That way when I start the wraps, it works out better that way. Then 5 barbs off of a pheasant cock center tail. They're nice and long. I only got 4 on that pull. Get them tied in. Pull them down towards myself, and then they'll naturally follow the thread around the shank to end up on top. Then I'll take a pair of hackle pliers and clamp those barbs in between the jaws, and then I wrap those away from myself. You can give that a turn or two to kind of keep those barbs going the way you want them to. Almost dropped my pliers in my waist bag. Okay, now comes the wire, so just get a couple of half hitches up here in the front. Pull your bobbin cradle over, and when I wrap those, when I wrap this wire, I wrap it away from myself, or towards myself rather. And then just kind of helicopter that off. Now, if you'll notice, if you do your wire that way, your first wrap ends up coming right underneath the here and over the top, and that way when the fish bites into the hook with his little teeth, you don't foul your back end of your fly up too much. I'm going to get 3 Peacock Herls. Get them tied in. And you're going to have them about halfway down the shank. And I just wet my fingers and give those Herls, no, that didn't work. There we go. I wet my fingers and I give the Herls a little twist to the left, and that kind of marries them up. And they'll, of course, they'll dry out and get fluffy again. There we go. And then the collar. You want to choose a collar feather where the barbs are going to be a little shorter than the hook shank. You're only going to get a couple of turns. Grab the feather by the point, by the tip, and just kind of rake those fibers back so it looks like that. Now the stem on these is very thin, so you have to be very careful. They're kind of fragile. You pull on them too hard, they'll break. And you just kind of pull those fibers back just like you would on a typical wet fly as you make your wraps. You don't want to get any of the fluff into the collar. And then that orange, hot orange thread kind of gives you a little hot spot right behind the head. All right, then you're going to do a wet UV. So, got my UV resin. I just paint it on the thread. I got my whip finisher that I use for that. Snip it off. Yeah, that collar hackle ended up being a little longer than what I'd wanted, but it'll do. Hit that UV with the light. There you have it. It's a CT bead head hot spot 60-degree pheasant jig. I hope this tutorial is informational for you. If you enjoyed using this, please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And you can find this and other tutorials on the Custom Tied website at www.custom-tied.com. That's custom-tied.com. Have a splash. Don't forget the dash. Excuse me. So this has been George with Custom Tied Flies and Guide Service. Happy tying.